Hey guys, we're back for myofascial week here, and today we're going to talk about hand tools. So, of course, we'll end up getting to all of the fun foam roller stuff that can be done on the ground, but today I wanted to talk about the different tools that you may have seen differently in stores or at gyms, and maybe you just weren't quite sure what they were used for or how you could use them. So, to start, before I start kind of showing you my own private collection, which, by the way, welcome to my home gym. I kind of have everything at my disposal here around me, so pardon me if I kind of start reaching around. One of the things I wanted to talk about is surface area. This is going to apply to both hand tools and to foam rollers that we're going to use on the ground. And surface area is going to be whether or not we're going to be working with a somewhat smooth surface as we roll, all the way down to what you're going to see as more of a pokey surface area. Please know that the smaller the surface area that we work with, the less pressure is needed, okay? Less is more with a smaller surface area. So to start, one of my favorite tools is simply just what I call the stick. This is a pretty commonly used tool both at gyms and from what I've seen in the stores. The little grooves here that are on each of the 4 beads is just enough just to kind of grab traction onto that muscle tissue and fascia, as well as to kind of help it move a little bit deeper across any kind of fabric. So just because it's easier, I'm going to be showing you here, I've got yoga pants on like usual, and I'm just going to be showing you my quad as we work on that. And then towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you some different areas on the leg that these hand tools are great for. Hand tools are nice because it allows us to create pressure with only our upper body. So I'm not going to be muscling with just my shoulders. You're going to see me actually leaning into the pressure as we start to work with these tools. Now, obviously, I can't use a tool like this on my own back. Doing this on my arms really not that effective. So I tend to find that stick type tools, which is what we're going to be using for handhelds today, is working best on the legs, both the quad, the hamstring, adductors, IT band, and the lower leg. Again, we'll get to all of that stuff later. So focusing on just the quad here, couple rules kind of to follow is that we never foam roll over anything that has a bony prominence. So we're not going to roll over any kind of no kneecaps. If this were something on our arm, maybe somebody's going to roll your arm for you. We're not going to ever roll over an elbow. Nothing that has a bony protrusion. 1, it doesn't feel good. 2, it's unnecessary. We're also going to be kind of working around some endangerment zones. So when we go to work later here at the back of the leg, we never roll directly here at the back of the knee. So I'm going to leave about 2 finger widths length behind the knee when we roll the hamstring later. There's a lot of vitals here behind the knee, a lot of nerves, a lot of blood flow supply back there. So 2 finger widths below the knee, we're not going to roll over, and we're never going to roll up and over that kneecap. There's just no need. So we'll stop about 2 finger widths just north of that kneecap. So handheld tools are all used just about the same. Again, this is a really mild tool. I'm going to start just kind of where my natural hip bend occurs while I'm sitting. And I'm just going to be pressing down into my muscle tissue, rolling to about 2 inches north of my kneecap and rolling back. The key here, there's kind of 2 ways that we can focus our work with the handheld tools. One is going to be nice and slow, which is how we're going to focus on fascia. Again, from yesterday's video, fascia is that saran wrap coating that covers all of our muscles. It covers everything else in our body, bone, viscera, etc. That tissue needs to melt, okay? So nice, slow motion is going to help with that melting. Muscle tissue that you feel might have been knotted, an area that you feel is just tighter than others can benefit from a little bit quicker rolling with the stick. And the same will apply to the foam roller on the floor later. So we're going to focus on fascia right now. So we're going to roll nice and slow at kind of a pressure depth that's comfortable to you. I'm not trying to muscle my way through. I'm using my upper body to lean. My arms are following behind. Again, I'm not just using my arms. My whole upper body is involved. And I'm just going nice and slow, letting that tissue kind of soften and accept that pressure. So you can go again down to the knee, up to the natural fold of the hip. If you wanted to get IT band, of course, we just turn to the outside and focus that laterally or on the outside of that leg. One area that likes to get really adhered fascially is our IT band where it meets the quads. So if this is straight on, I'll move this way. If this is straight on our quads and this is coming straight in at our IT band. It's right there on the diagonal. It's right where that IT band and your lateral quad muscle, vastus lateralis, stick together. That area gets really tricky. It can be really tender. Sometimes this whole lateral leg is too tender to actually roll on a foam roller on the floor. So that's where the hand tool is nice, because like me, maybe like you, I have very tender IT bands. This tool is nice because I can have less pressure coming from the pressure of my hands as I roll down that leg. Okay, so that's rolling the quad with the stick roller. If you wanted to roll your adductors, you certainly can. You're going to turn that leg out and get the inside part of that thigh. Hand grip here, whatever's comfortable for you. I tend to prefer one under, one over. The upper hand for me is kind of the hand that directs where the roller goes. The bottom hand is just kind of the pivot point for me. You do what's comfortable for you. So that is the stick roller. Again, very simple. This is probably the least intrusive. This is going to be probably the most comfortable. Something like this is what I would recommend for somebody just starting out, or somebody who doesn't need it on a daily basis. Second stick that we have here is a little bit more intense. These remind me of the dryer balls that you can put in your dryer to help kind of fluff your laundry. Way more intense. Of course, you can see the pokey bits right there, and each of these moves independently of the other. So again, smaller surface area, right? It's not smooth all the way across. Much less pressure is needed for a tool like this. Again, you can use it in the same manner. I am certainly not pushing as hard. I'm still leaning with my upper body. This is nice to kind of help create a lot more blood flow a lot quicker in your tissues because of the small pokey bits, for lack of a better term. The way that these two different tools differ, other than the way that they look, is that this is designed to create blood flow and to help with superficial adhesions. So we'll say sticky areas in your tissue that are closer to the surface. You should not be pushing deeply into your tissue with a tool like this. One, it's not going to feel good. Two, you're not doing anything more beneficial by doing that. You're just wasting a lot of extra energy. You can use it in the same areas. If you wanted to use something like this over that IT band, lateral quad, same. It works just the same way as the other one. It's just using a different surface area to create that. I do not like to use this on bare skin. It doesn't feel great. So if you like to work out in shorts, you might want to see what feels better, to use this on skin with shorts or to use it over a fabric material like me and my yoga pants. Personal preference, whatever works best for you, but I tend to not prefer this on open skin. Another way that this roller differs a little bit from the stick that we just showed you is that the pokey prominences here that you see kind of also help to spread the tissue a little bit as it rolls. So they dig in and spread, whereas the stick roller here is simply just like rolling out pie dough. You create the spread by changing the direction of the stick. So just a little bit more differences there for you. Speaking of a rolling pin that you would use for baking, for those of you who don't have a handheld roller at home, check your cupboards. This is completely fine to use for myofascial rolling with a handheld. So again, same thing applies. We start at the natural fold of our hip. We're going down to just about, 2 finger width here before my kneecap. Same thing. Obviously, it's a nice broad surface. We're spreading and separating that tissue, going nice and slow, focusing on fascia. If you do feel that you have a sticky area, for me, up here in my hip, up here closer to my hip flexors, sometimes I get a little bit of a knot that feels like a guitar string. I can twang right across it. You can do a little bit of cross fiber friction, and what that looks like, to show you down here on a broader surface, is rocking the boat. I'm pushing down and I'm rocking the stick as I move it down. Up here in my flexor, I can cross fiber friction on that. And what cross fiber friction means is my muscle fiber direction, just in my quads to show as an example, is bipennate, and it goes from inferior to superior. So those muscles look like, specifically in the quads, those muscles here look like a feather. We've got 4 different quad muscles, hence the quads. And so with those, if I'm going to go across the fiber, I'm going to work this way instead of that way. And we do that by rocking the boat, kind of giving a little bit of friction in there on those knots. Just helps to break that tissue up a little bit more if you've got an adhesion. Again, baking pin, have it at home. If you have it, you already have a myofascial roller. One last tool that I want to talk about, some of these stores, and I've had a lot of my clients ask, well, I've seen this tool or I've seen that tool. Literally, there are probably hundreds of different types of tools that are marketed out there. I think between Target and Kohl's, their athletic departments, and Dunham's, I have seen a ton. Some are pokey, some are flat, all sorts of stuff. My biggest suggestion to you is if you're able to try them out at the store, give it a try right there. See what feels best for you. There's really no wrong or right way to design a roller. It's whatever feels best for you. The wrong or right way is going to be how you use it. Again, your intent. If you're intending on focusing on that fascia, it's nice and slow and it's a melting type movement. If you're focusing on a knot or a tight spot literally in that muscle tissue that you think is tight, it's faster and it might be that seesaw action of cross fiber friction. So speaking of one of those fun, silly little gadgets, I want to show you that. I picked this up at Meijer's athletic department probably 6 months ago or so. Seems really silly, but being a massage therapist, while my hands don't generally ache, a good hand massage certainly feels good. So instead of me trying to work my hands and work my fingers, obviously if I use my right hand, to work my left, now my right hand's tired. Left hand works my right hand, now my left hand's tired. This eliminates that, and believe it or not, those rollers here on the end are going to be creating myofascial release for my fingers. So, silly little gadget tool, but you know it worked well for my life. So, like I said, if you see something in the store that might benefit you, give it a try. With this, I can work all aspects of that finger. It's just enough pressure to feel good. Silly, but it works. So, again, have fun with it. Just make sure that you're staying away from those endangerment areas and bony prominences, and really make sure that you have focused intent, whether or not you're focusing on fascia or muscle. All right, have fun with those tools at home, guys, and we'll see you soon.